Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and good evening. Administration is pleased to present the recommended boundary changes across the elementary panel in North Oxford, including several schools in Woodstock. The north part of the city and North Oxford are growing rapidly. With the approval of a new school in Woodstock, a new attendance area is required. Through this process, we also had the opportunity to balance enrollment in order to ensure long-term viability of all schools in the area. We'd like to thank all the parent and guardian volunteers who served on the Attendance Area Review Committee in order to represent their schools and provide feedback regarding the boundary change options under consideration. Every effort was made to be responsive to public feedback where possible. As an organization, we're grateful to the province of Ontario for the funding which supports the construction of this new school. As the fastest growing region in Ontario, we must address the growth of our communities, and new school buildings are a big part of the solution. The recommendations in this final attendance area review report will result in over 400 students being relocated from portables into permanent school buildings, and almost as many students attending a more proximal school that doesn't require school bus transportation. The recommendations are as follows: that the attendance areas for Hickson Central, Innerkip Central, Blenheim District, Northdale, and Central Public Schools, as shown in Appendix A to the report, be approved, and that this take effect for the date of the opening of the new North Woodstock Elementary School. That the attendance area for the new North Woodstock Elementary School, as shown in Appendix A to the report, be approved, and that this take effect for the date of opening of the school. That the North Woodstock holding zones be dissolved for the date of opening of the new North Woodstock Elementary School. That students who will be in grade 8 in the year of implementation of the attendance area changes and their siblings at Zora Highland Park, Hickson Central, Innerkip Central, Blenheim District, and Central Public Schools be provided with the legacy agreement option to remain at their current school with transportation, if eligible, for the duration of the school year of implementation only. And finally, that current students and their siblings residing within that portion of the Northdale Public School attendance area designated to Central Public School be provided with the legacy agreement option to remain at Northdale Public School, and that this take effect for the date of opening of the new North Woodstock Elementary School. Madam Chair, we are committed to ensuring the most consistent transition possible for all students involved in this process. Parents and caregivers will have the opportunity to collaborate on this with staff well in advance of the boundary changes taking effect. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate all the work the planning team has undergone. Attendance area reviews for everyone, for the community, and for our planning department and everyone who works on it are a huge endeavor and are stressful for our community. So I thank everyone who did participate in this and all the work that you've done through the attendance area review. Is there any questions? Oh, okay. I'm the only one who's got a question. Okay, I've got a question. So just for clarification, there is nothing occurring with Eastdale Public School.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As a result of the feedback that we received from the school subcommittee, the recommendation was to keep the boundary status quo, so no changes.
I have a second question. I see that there was a legacy agreement for those from Northdale to Central, and later on, is there consideration? I see that there's 7 students from Innerkip to Hickson, and another one I think from Hickson to, I can't remember the other school it was to, and there were only 7 students. Is there consideration for a legacy agreement for them as well?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the recommendations do include a legacy agreement option for all grade 8 students who will be entering that grade 8 in the year of implementation, so when the new school opens. So certainly that's the recommendation at this time for all schools except for Northdale. With Northdale, given the fact that there are no transportation being provided to students in that area, they don't qualify for transportation, the recommendation is to legacy all of those students to their current school if they so choose.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, oh, sorry, Trustee Osborne.
Thank you, Chair. If I could, I'm not looking for an exhaustive list, but could we get an idea of any other feedback that you got from school councils or the public that went into the recommendation that was presented today?
Manager Puznev?
Thank you very much for the question. So we did receive a host of feedback submitted through the Attendance Area Review Subcommittee reports. As indicated, we weren't able to implement all of the recommendations, but the ones we were able to accommodate, we certainly did, and those are reflected here before you this evening. So the recommendations that we were able to make as a result of the feedback certainly relate to legacy agreements, so legacy agreement options for all grade 8 students, accommodating legacy agreement options for students unaffected by transportation, so those are the Northdale students who would be designated to Central. And then finally, the recommendation to keep Eastdale at its current, the satellite portion of the Eastdale boundary at its current school was also made as a result of public feedback. The remainder of the feedback is summarized in the report. There's general themes that we picked out, and certainly happy to address any questions on those as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a follow-up?
Thank you. I don't want to get into too much minutia. I think it's just important that as a board and as a school board, board of trustees, that we clarify where we are taking input and where families and the public are able to impact decisions and are able to see. Sorry about that. Are able to see decisions in the process that they are participating in. Thank you.
Thank you. There are recommendations here to go to board. If there's no other questions, is anyone willing to move the recommendations? Trustee Cripps? Trustee Cripps? Yep. We're going to put the recommendations up on the screen.
Okay, then I'll move the recommendations as they appear on the screen.
Does anyone need me to read those recommendations? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 recommendations. Does anyone need me to read them? Okay, is there any questions or debate, comments on the motions? Oh. Okay, seeing none, I'll call to question. Those in favor, please raise your hand. And I'm going to go a bit slow because it's hard to raise your hand online quickly. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you. Put your hands down. Put our hands down. Thank you. Those opposed, please raise your hand. Thank you. Those motions have passed. Thank you. Well, I'm thinking that was the quickest attendance error review report we've ever had. I don't know. Right? Okay, so we will move down to Southwestern Ontario Student Transportation.